grab a cup of joe and let's gather around that hay bale. With your hosts, Ann from Andale Homestead, Casey from Ormsby Farms, Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch, and Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Here they are. Hey, y'all, hey.
Well, good morning and welcome back to Around the Hay Bale. This is Sandy with Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona.
I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch.
Hello, everyone. It is Casey over at Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead, and we are so excited that you came back to join us for episode 2 of this limited series where we're talking about prepping. And once I actually pull up the Prepper's Guide, you'll know what we're talking about. We have a prepper guide that is now on our Etsy store where you can go and follow along in the next 6 weeks and get prepared. Whatever, the computer's on the struggle bus today, y'all. Whatever you are prepping for, whether it's a national emergency, whether it's a tornado, hurricane, whatever it is, this hay bale prepper guide will help you with it. Go into our Etsy store, download it, keep it in a binder, and then you're able to take notes over the next 6 weeks, the next episodes that we're doing. On today's episode, we're talking about water storage and purification. But before that, if you are listening to us in the podcast land but want to see our smiley faces and all of the tomfoolery that I'm doing trying to pull up different screens, then come on over to YouTube and make sure you like and subscribe and do all that kind of fun stuff. And you'll get to see it there because sometimes we show props. But, okay, water. Sandy.
Well, I was going to say, before we talk too, you may have noticed that Miss Ann is not here, and we recorded our first episode of this 6-part series. We recorded last week, so make sure you go check that out because that's where you're going to want to start. It's basically where you start, how you start prepping, what are you going to do, how to start all this mess, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming. But we also mentioned that Miss Ann will not be with us for the 6 weeks. She's kind of taking a family break right now. She's on a family hiatus type thing where she's taking care of her family, and that's super important to us for you to know that. And for us to mention it because we care so much about Andale at Andale Homestead. So we want you to go over there and check her out, go support her and keep her in your prayers. She's supporting her husband during this next few weeks. And we really just want to give all our love and our prayers and thoughts with her. So don't forget to go over there and support her and show her some love. So now, Casey, let's go over to talking to Sandy. What are we talking about again? We're doing what?
We're talking water storage and purification.
Storage.
We talked about this on the last episode, how it truly is the most important of the prepping. Now, Sandy, what do you do for water storage?
Well, we have water catchments on our spigots, on our downspouts. So we have 5 of those. So it goes into one barrel, overflows to another barrel in 2 different places, and then we have a single one. So we can catch the water outside. Honestly, if I needed water and it was raining, I would take every pot and pan I have outside. I would just do whatever, to store for water. Now, my water catchments right now, I just use for my plants. There are processes to filter that water, so I could use it to drink if I had to. And we'll talk about that later on in the episodes.
Right.
We have a Berkey filter so that I can filter things. We have tablets that I could put in water that wasn't pure if I needed to. So there are a lot of things that we can do. What I love, one of those great big 250, 500 gallon tanks, I would. I just don't know where I'd put it. What about you, Casey? What do you have for storage, water storage?
Well, funny that you should ask, because at the new homestead, not a thing. We're still working through kind of the water catchments that we will have. When maybe it was probably a couple months ago, even a year ago, in Georgia, we had a huge storm. I think it was between Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, that hurricane that came through. And it kind of knocked out electricity in the town where our farm was. And I learned very quickly that I was not up to par with water. I could be prepped for days in the pantry,
Mhm.
prepped for days with wound care and first aid. But water is where I was falling short. And at that time, I had over 50 meat chickens. I had over 30 meat turkeys. And at that time, you're thinking, I'm not even trying to find, I'm still trying to find water for me and my family, but also for this 60, 70 plus animals that you're
Mhm.
feeding and taking care of too. Well, so rain catchment for me when we moved was kind of like at the forefront of my mind. Like, okay, I have to figure out what in the world I'm going to do. And there are many different things that you can catch rainwater in. I did put it in our. I'm gonna try to find it really fast in my little paperwork here. Um, One
Yeah.
thing that they would say is you definitely want to do you want to try to get food grade.
Mhm.
Um, you want it also dark. One of the things I watched a YouTube video on is those black plastic trash cans that you can get at any of the big box stores. I got it for a while to put my feed and stuff in until rodents outside chewed through the handle part at the top, and I had to toss the top. But there are a stretchy, like netting, like it's like a shower cap. You know, when you get in the shower, you put on that shower cap, or
Mhm.
some women put on the shower cap to make sure their hair doesn't get wet. There's one now that you can stretch over the trash cans that
Mhm.
filters out leaf and debris, so you can have it right there by a chicken coop, because you can use that rainwater for the chickens to put it in their
Mhm.
water. You can use it, as Sandy said, for the garden. So there's a ton of different ways, and I'm really excited to start building my water storage on the homestead. But Monica, what about y'all? What do the Blands do to store water?
Well, we do water catchment. We have two of those big IBC 275-gallon totes. We got a bunch of them probably about 7 years ago. They are food grade. We got them really good price. People were getting rid of them. It was before it was a thing. It wasn't like, it wasn't a thing, but it was starting to be a thing. And so we got our hands on we got our hands on 6 of them. So I have 2 of them attached to my house. They're off to the side, so they're not like an eyesore because we live at the back of a community. So we try to keep it out of the way so people aren't like, ew, IBC totes. But we have 2 of them set up, and Eric actually did several videos on water catchment and how to set them up, because he actually moved. It's like this movable like tubing you can get from Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. It's kind of, it looks like a round pipe, and you can kind of move it around so you can adjust it to flow from your, you know, gutters. And I think that's one of the things. I think it was Sandy that had said something about putting gutters on things that
Mhm.
you may not have gutters, because now I like literally want to put gutters on all of my my entire barn. We don't have gutters on our barn, and every
Mhm.
time I see it rain, I'm like, you're wasting so much water, Monica.
Right.
But we do have water catchment on the 2 areas in our house that do, and most of the water comes there. And then we also take that water once it's filled on the side of our house. We then take a pump and we pump the water from there to the 4 extra totes that are sitting around our yard in our like stacked over by my greenhouse. And then inside of my garden, I have like protein tubs that we have used for our animals. So we know they're food safe, they're food grade
Mhm.
because they had mineral in them. We wash them out real good. And most of the time we just rinse them out real good. And then we stick them in my garden. And I do water catchment for those. I take the water right from the side catchments. I pour them, you pump it into there. And then I fill those up constantly. I have some 55-gallon drums that I use, and we have them all over my garden because I use all of that water from the beginning of the gardening season all the way through. My goal every year is to get all the way through water season, all the way through gardening season without using a single bit of my water from my house. I don't want to
Awesome.
use any of that water because that water is already treated.
Mhm.
Why not use the water that's coming from the sky?
Right.
But that for me was a huge sigh of relief. when it came to, looking at emergencies, and I was talking to Sandy a little bit about this off camera, when you talk about water and saving and storing water, that's a thing for me. It really makes me, I think, nervous, because as a mom with a lot of kids, I know you can go without food for a while, but the water, you need the liquid, you need that nourishment via water or liquid somehow. So my main concern was, what am I going to do? So, Sandy's got a Berkey. And if you don't know what a Berkey is, you can look it up. A Berkey is a water filtration system. It is a really great, overall, I hear it's a really great quality. It's a good brand. It's a very well-known brand. You can make your own or make similar Berkeys. There's lots of YouTube videos. I know Alicia over at, I can't think of her. She did making her own Berkey, like her own, replica. But I've seen lots of videos on how to do it. And back when COVID hit, I freaked out a little bit. I'm like, well, how do I purify this water that we're catching that's building algae on the side that, I know has got gunk in it and probably some leaf litter and all these things. How do I filter it to get it so that we can drink it? And so I know how to get the leaf litter out, but how do I get it so it's clean, right? So my kids are going to be safe drinking it. And so one of the things I thought about was I can make my own. So you buy the things you need to make, and you can make your own Berkey, make your own water filtration system, find those ways to do it. So that's one of the things that gave me some peace and some calm with that anxiety that was really quickly building with, if I needed water in an emergency, like my animals can drink all this water, no trouble. Like I'm gonna just pump it out. We've got a little pump that we've got all the stuff. I can just push this out and fill my buckets up for my animals easily from our water catchment system. I'm not going to just give it to my kids right from the water catchment place. So for me, it was, how do I get it there? What do I do? And that's a huge way for us. So that's kind of how I store water, is our water catchments, all the different rain barrels and everything that we've got collected. We even have a pool that's about half broken down because the wind kind of knocked it down this season. And I literally don't want to get rid of it yet, because it's probably got, in this big pool, it's probably got, like, I don't know, a foot full of water in it. And I'm like, I'm not just going to like dump the water out into the grass. I'm going to use it for something.
Right.
Water my garden with that mess. So getting buckets and scooping it out and watering my plants with it. So water is valuable here in Texas. You don't just get rid of it. So that's kind of how we do it.
There are products out there now that you can, when it comes off your roof, it can filter a certain amount of the stuff right then. I mean, they have the catchments that will do the leaves and things like that. And a lot of times people will have it come right to the first barrel. Then it has this special catchment again. So it's catching more stuff, and then it goes to the second barrel. Now, depending on your roof, if you have shingles on your roof and the water is coming off of that, that is different and harder to clean, so it's drinkable, than if you had a metal roof. So there are things to think about. Do I have wood shingles? Do I have just regular shingles, metal roof? It can make a difference on how you do your system to make it. It's one thing to water your plants in your gardens with it. It's a whole nother thing for your children to drink that water. So you want to be safe. And there are things like you can build sand filters that will filter all kinds of things off. In a pinch, you can use mosses to help filter.
Yeah.
You can use charcoals to help filter. So right now is a perfect time to take the guide and write those things on what you could do to be ready if your water was cut off. Because, I mean, a main line can break and you're out without water for a week or more. If all of your neighbors are going to the store to buy gallons of water too, it doesn't take very long before that's not on the shelf.
It's true.
And
you need water.
And we have two, well, we actually have four, but we always have two filled of these great big totes that are in our house, and we just rotate those out.
And see, we were talking about that a little bit too. One of the things after COVID, I kind of got a little nervous, like, okay, I can't go out and just go buy stuff. Like, I'm not going to buy, I don't have water bottles in my house all the time. We drink out of cups. We drink out of refillable cups all the time, right? We're not drinking out of the plastic water bottles as much as we can help it. We just don't. And so one of the things I started doing was I felt like, okay, well, at least the least thing I can do to bring myself a little bit of peace was to go get a couple gallons. I got 2 gallons of water for each kid, for each person in my house. So at the end of the day, I had 20 gallons of water sitting here underneath of this bed, sitting in the schoolroom, climate controlled. It's not out in the hot sun. It's not in my garage. It's not in my attic. It's in a climate controlled room in my home. And when the kids wanted to take it, I just started letting them rotate it out. And then I just backfill it. I'd say, okay, if you're going to take a gallon of water and you're going to use it for X, Y, and Z, just let me know and I'll backfill it. And I put it in there. So I always try to have at least 2 gallons of water. Not like that's going to get us very far, but it brings me a little bit of a sense of peace knowing that if something happened, then I had to start filtering water from all my water catchments and all that stuff. I've got 2 gallons of water per kid, per person right now to just get me through that first panic that I might immediately feel. But, it's important, like Sandy said, to start writing these techniques and start learning these skills now. Maybe make some notes. Okay, what skills do I need? Like, am I going to be the one to go out and just get all the water we need and store it somewhere in my pantry? Okay, if you want to do that, you go do that. That's great. If that works for you, go do it. If you have the space and you have the money and the time, you go do that, right? But maybe you don't. Now's the time to build those skills so that you know how to make sure your water is safe to drink if you need to. And sometimes it's a matter of writing it down because you're not going to always remember. Go and get those books, write it down, get those books, learn those skills now so that it comes to you later on. It just when in doubt, write it down so that you have it for later so you can look at it. It makes it so much easier to go through all the things. Okay, well, wait, I do have water stored up. I don't need to panic. I've got 2 gallons per kid, but I need to get that water catchment in place. I need to get that water purifier made so I can start filtering those waters. Because if you do the Berkey, Sandy, like when you fill up your Berkey, how long does it take to filter all that water through? Does it really quick?
Oh, no, it takes hours. 2 hours. Yeah, it's not fast.
So it takes
it's not. Yeah, because it has to go through the cylinders,
Right. The filters. And I think that was a good segue there, Monica, to parts of our guide that talk about these things of preparing per child, per adult. Now, let me tell you, when I was doing the research for this prepper guide, I typed in, and it's all about your wording, I typed in how much water does an adult go through in a year? We as Americans are maybe a little over exaggerative. We waste a lot. And so it was saying that we needed anywhere from 80 to 100 gallons a day, which, any sane human being sitting there thinking, that's a lot of water for one. Do I really go through 100 gallons of water? And that's, of course, if you're bathing, showering, all that kind of stuff. But when I put in how much water does an adult need in a day, it's where we came up with the numbers that are on the sheet. And this is a part of a sheet, spoiler alert, that is in the prepper guide. So if y'all are going to go ahead, y'all might as well go back and try to screenshot all the stuff. I know how y'all do. And screenshot our videos. To get this good information. And there is even a scratch sheet at the bottom where you can Monica can put down, okay, adult 1 is me.
Yeah.
I need this. Then you know how much that you should at least be available to prepare for. Now, in this, it talks about 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. That does not mean we're talking about, because we are going to talk about canning water. That does not mean we're telling you should go find 4,380 quarts and can water for your family. Okay, that's just a rough estimate. When we're talking about gallons, like Monica said, you said how big are your water catchment?
They're 275 gallon totes. So they're like a little less than 300 gallons, right?
So roughly, that is 1 human being for a year.
Okay.
Of water is what they say is about 300 on the lower end is about 365 gallons of water a year. An adult human 18 and above would use. So if you're thinking like, okay, it's Sandy and Joe, just Sandy and Joe. We're not talking about kids or grandkids. Sandy could feel comfortable without having to can any water if she had 2 of those 300-gallon water catchment systems on her homestead.
Yeah.
Because again, you can use it for gardening, you can filter and boil, you can put it in a Berkey. I
Yeah.
have to say, there's a lot of recommendations in this prepper guide, y'all. So if you do download it, there are links that are virtual links that are recommendations from all of us, including Ann Dale. You click and it takes you to these websites, our Amazon storefronts where you can get it. I have a knockoff Berkey. Yeah? I have a knockoff Berkey, which I absolutely adore. It's same
Ooh.
system. It's the double kind of tin pots, and it has the Berkey style filters that you screw into it. I know that I fill that up at the end of the night for the next day.
Yeah.
It just turns into habit. You've
Nice.
filtered your water during the day as you're washing your dishes or wiping down your counters, whatever you're doing as a nighttime routine. Learn to actually fill that up and let it sit there, and
Yeah.
you know that it's filtering out the bad stuff that you've catched. So I just wanted to throw that in there since I had the prepper guide pulled up. There's equations in here, there's notes, and there's recommendations for I'm trying to pull it up where I can find it here, of the indoor water filtration. Because Monica, you had one. You worked with the company,
Yeah.
for your water catchment. Well, it wasn't a catchment; it was a
It's a water purifier. So yeah, it's called SimPure, and they have they basically take everything out of the water though. So you're not even getting some of those trace minerals that you need to get. So if you're using a water filter like that on the regular, and that's like all your kids are drinking, I would highly advise looking at putting some trace minerals or some things back into it, just because it's healthier that way. But yeah, we use a water purifier, and I mean, we fill that thing up probably 2 or 3 times a day. As a matter of fact, Abigail gets so mad when she goes in there in the morning, and she'll like put her cup underneath, and she'll like unscrew the top and hit the button, and it goes beep, 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 beep. And she's like, are you kidding? She looks around the back and it's like not filled up at all. And she's like, y'all, who drank out? Who did this? Who did this? Because it doesn't take that long to refill. But I will say that I've had it now for I might have had it already for a year now, I think. And I have only had to replace the filters one time. And they say that it lasts on average about 6 months. And we're a larger family than average. And I am very impressed by how long the filters have lasted, and the quality, and the fact that you can purchase the filters for nominal cost. They're not super expensive to replace. So I'm happy with it. And my kids love it because we don't drink dirty water from the tap, because my kids say it tastes like dirt. They say Texas water tastes like dirt. So they don't be drinking tap water because they're bougie kids. So
I was about to say bougie in the meat and in the water.
yes, they are.
Yeah, but that's something to think about. If you're going to have a Berkey or a knockoff Berkey or a water filter system, you should always have some extra filters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you don't get to decide when you have a hurricane.
Yeah.
or a hailstorm that knocks out every power source that you have.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about a Berkey or a homemade system, however you do it, it's no electricity. It's just filtering.
Yep.
So I think you should have something like that, or have it in your book that says, okay, this is how you do it. Do I have those supplies already?
Yeah. I think it's important too. We talked about in last episode to think about who you're preparing for, right? So take those notes now, who you're prepping for. But we talked about a little bit off camera too. One of the things that I think got me so upset and really thinking about water is what happens if you have babies and they are on formula? You need water for those formula fed babies. And there have been times in my lifetime, and I'll never forget seeing Hurricane Katrina and having that happen and seeing it from across the United States and just sobbing because knowing that there were babies that were sick and dying because their moms couldn't get the formula. And then when they could get formula, they didn't have any water, no clean water to make the formula for their babies. Like, that is horrible. That is heart-wrenching. And to see that and to think that that happens. And if you're not like breastfeeding and you have a baby, or someone in your family, maybe you have grandbabies, prepare. make sure you got a little extra water, or you know how to get water for those grandbabies if your daughter-in-law or your son-in-law or your daughter or son need water for those babies. And I think that's something we forget about, because it's not, maybe like right now, I don't have any babies, but I have a grandbaby and she's breastfeeding. But what happens if she can't? What happens if something happens and she's not there and we need formula for that baby? At least I know I have water. I have
Right.
something that can get that baby nourishment, because I couldn't imagine watching a child die because they don't have water. Like that would just be beyond. So,
Well, Monica, what's funny also is when I was doing the research for this segment, actually, is a lot of people say, well, I'll just go out and buy the gallon jugs, the plastic, 99 cents from the grocery store, which I thought that way too.
that's what I got for my kids in case they need it.
Well, I figured out that, that's not a long-term storage type. The plastic does not last long-term.
Yeah.
We're talking a year, max, maybe 2. And that kind of leads into canning water. Now, a lot of us on this panel don't necessarily can water a lot. I can water a very little bit, but it does, kind of distill, I guess you could say, the water by canning it in the pressure canner. But that would be a good thing to prepare yourself if you are someone that has a child or a grandchild, is making sure that you have those quarts that is distilled, as much as distilled as you can get, water that can be then popped open and instantly used to make formula.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have it, and we have in the guide, in the prepper guide, the recipe where you can write it down. Literally, when I can water, it's this easy. Now, Casey from Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead, do not use tap water. I do a lot of rebel things in my life, but that is not one of the things that I am rebel on. I will then purchase those jugs that I was just dogging at the grocery store, and I will use that purified water in the canning. If I'm going to use it.
Why? Why would you not use your water out of your tap?
Yeah.
It's getting to a temperature that would kill any bacteria.
Well, Georgia water is like Texas water. It tastes.
But just because it tastes bad doesn't mean it doesn't follow the standards.
I will say that I will use my knockoff Berkey water too. I will use that to can it that way. I'm weird, y'all. It is just the one thing, because y'all know
But you can use tap water, right? Like, let's just say I'm living in an apartment and I'm thinking, okay, well, canning's new to me. I want to can some water because I want to make sure I have a few quarts in there if I have my baby and it needs it, or I have my grandmom or somebody, or I need
pull out of your rain catchment system outside. Huh?
No.
We're talking about tap.
But you can pull it from your tap water, from your, like, turn on your faucet in your kitchen, fill up your quart jar, and you can do that, right?
Yes. Of course you could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the people, when you look on recipes online, the people, most of the time we don't know who those people are. But they say that you should use purified or distilled water when you're canning water for sterilizations.
The alphabet police? They say that?
Yeah, I think that those police people. That's
Okay.
what mentally I got sidetracked on. Because again, I'm a rebel for everything else. But that's the one thing that I don't use rebelness on is my water. And maybe one day I'll be able to shake it. Who knows? This series may shake me. And I'm maybe a new Casey after this episode.
Yeah.
Well, I would just use my tap water.
Me too.
I seriously would. It would kill bacteria in there. It's going to get to a temperature. It does not make it into distilled water.
No.
Because I have a distilled water machine. If I want distilled water, I pour it in and goes through this system. It actually converts the steam and it comes back down and it makes it into the water. But the boiling temperature of the water, I just don't find any problem whatsoever using a tap water.
It's going to make it sanitary enough for formula or anything else you need to drink, right? I mean, if it's coming out of your faucet anyway, people will be drinking that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like the way it drinks, you just drink a little lemon in it.
Casey, I'm not giving you a bad time. Buy your water, pour it in there. But I don't want
to go
thinking that you can't do it.
Yeah, that was my question too, because I was going to ask the same thing, because I was like, oh man, I'm not going to be going to buy the jugs of water and then having to go can that. But I guess if you don't like it, you can just take your dehydrated lemon or your limes or your oranges and throw one of those in there later on when you're drinking it.
See, you can do that.
But
And I will say that I am bougie. So those that are listening, that is one of the reasons that I do it. And because Georgia water sucks.
okay, so once you put the water in, whatever water you're getting, you
I
just
put to an inch of headspace.
you just
I put on my 4-jar lids, twisty, pop it in your, well, if we're talking about no electricity and that's why you need the water, I'd put it in my actual pressure canner. But you can put it in the Nesco if you still have electricity, if you're
well,
prepping.
you'd be prepping it now. So yeah, put it in your pressure canner, your electric pressure canner.
And then I do I usually do it when I do green beans and beans. So I don't know off the top of my head. I think
25 minutes.
is it 25 minutes?
I think so. Yeah, that's what we do for green beans.
Or-
Yeah, that's what I do for green beans. It seems to work so far.
And I mean, most of the time that's going to work because it is just water. There's no food in there. So I
Is that
mean,
what you do for green beans, Sandy? 25 minutes for green beans?
That sounds right. I haven't
Yeah.
done green beans for
Yeah.
a while.
That's all I've been canning lately is green beans. So yeah, 25 minutes per quart's all I use.
Now, do you think you have to pressure can your water, or can you water bath your water?
Yeah, I was
you
going to ask that.
can water bath it too. I've always done pressure can because when I
You're,
started
you're
canning,
adding.
I was adding it. Like Casey from Boots and Bounty, my twinsy, I would text her when I was learning to pressure can, be like, "Oh my goodness, I don't have enough green beans to do a 7-quart round." And she said, "Boy, if you don't throw some quarts of water in that pressure canner and let it go." And so then I just have always pressure canned my water. Only
Okay.
because it's easy in your Nesco electric pressure canner. If you have not heard about that, we have a podcast episode on it. Go check it out
Mhm.
because it's the best and it's easy to throw some quarts together, put it in your electric pressure canner, and set it, forget it, let it do its thing.
Yeah, well, see, I like the idea of you have space anyway, so you
Mhm.
throw a quart in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just filling it up, and your jars aren't banging around, and because they're fitting the way they're supposed to be fitting.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I don't have any water canned because I just don't. But I like that idea of filling that space.
Yeah, me too.
Well, and also, canning jars are it's a hot commodity. So I'm like, do I really want 20 quarts filled with water on my canning shelf, or do I want 20 quarts filled with leftover soups and taco meat and that kind of stuff? So that's
Well, I
only at this point I don't have canned water. But if you have a child and it's something that feel you feel more comfortable on,
Mhm.
this is grab that recipe, write this down that we've talked about, and put it in there. At least you know how to do it. At
Yeah.
least
Right.
you know how to do it. It doesn't mean you have to go and do 7 quarts right the second of water.
Right.
You're like, oh, well, I listened to Sandy, Monica, and Casey, and now I just have this wasted space of water.
Well, see, with the electric pressure canner, I think I've always been like, I don't want to can. I don't need to put extra stuff in there, right? With the electric one, but I don't really
Mhm.
want to waste a lid for my canning of water. But again, I don't follow the rules, so I'll be using that lid over. But I mean, it was just water anyway. But I have done it. I have done it, but I feel like I water bathed it. I feel like I water bathed water before for kicks, just to
Yeah.
see if it worked. And then I threw it on the shelf and I was like, hey, you look good up there. And I
Well,
think it's still there.
Monica, also, when you buy brand new jars, let's say you get them from the Wally World from
Yeah.
Walmart, they have those lids that I only use 4-jar lids because I just love them. And so you have a stack of these Wally World canning lids that you don't use. That's when you use them for some water. Because if
I
it,
use them anyway for my
you know,
canning.
Monica's
Okay, question for you.
okay.
When you're canning water, could you put a few slices of lemon in it?
I
Because
mean,
you
lemon's an
can,
astringent, right? It's astringent,
yeah,
right? It's that. I mean, it'll help with
yeah,
the water.
or lemon juice. Could you do that, and then would it be lemony when you canned it? next time you use your pressure canner and you have a space, I want you to try it and tell me.
No, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Sandy's got me thinking about I'm going to be canning lemon and lime water tomorrow.
Why not? I mean, it
I'm just
makes
wondering.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? You know, maybe it will work, maybe it won't. I mean, maybe you have to just use the juice, but could you just slice off or a couple slices and put it in there? I think you probably could.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I
Let
mean, why
us know
not?
in the comments if you have canned water before and you're listening to us and you put lemon or lime or even orange slices, because I love a good orange slice in a water too. Well,
Mhm.
have you done that before? Leave it in the comments because we want to know. Because
Yeah,
I'm gonna try it because that sounds really interesting to me, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, and you can tell us next time.
I will. I am going to tell you. Make sure you actually come in tomorrow to our live because I probably will have already tried it and come into our Hey Y'all Hey radio show that goes live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because now, water, you know it, but we have gone through our 30 minutes of this episode. And if we stay any longer, we may get flushed away. I'm trying to get all the water puns out of the way. But
Oh my goodness.
thank you for tuning into this episode. If you have not already, if you're enjoying these 2 episodes so far, we have the one that was last week. So definitely go and listen to that if you have not heard it. And go to our Etsy store and download our Hey Bale Prepper Guide. It is in there. It is an 87-page document that is downloadable that you can print out and you can take notes when you're listening to these episodes
Yep.
and fill in recipes and do all these different things so that you feel prepared going forward for whatever happens. National emergencies, tornadoes, all of that good stuff. It will help. It will help in the time. Take our advice now. Do your future self a favor and
Yeah.
download this, print it out, and fill it out. But we appreciate you coming in. We will be back next Monday. And our topic is our topic's my favorite. I'm so excited. It's food storage. Me and Sandy, when we talk about food preservation, we get like giddy little schoolgirls, and it's just so much fun. So you won't want to miss the episode next Monday. Yeah? But tomorrow, come into our Hey Bale live stream, and we'll see if I actually can water with lime. And then we're gonna, if it works, we're gonna give it a Sandy name. It's gonna be the Sandy water.
It doesn't sound good though. That sounds like there's like chunks of
No,
sand in
yeah.
it. Don't call it the sandy
I
water.
think it's something else.
But anyways, thank y'all for coming in, and we'll see you next Monday on the new episode. Bye, y'all. Bye.
Bye.